our channel into another story time is what I'm gonna call it. It's not really a horror story, it's a pretty funny story. So I am going to start going through older story times of when I was younger, and then we'll eventually get into the high school horrors. Those are true horror stories. Let me just tell you. So we're gonna go back all the way to the year, I think it was 2003. I want to say. I was in the 8th grade. So many of you who have been with me for a while have heard me talk about my best friend Christina before. She is truly just my other half. What was that movie? And they talk about you have like a soulmate that's your friend. Like Christina's my soulmate friend. Her and I have been through every stage of life together. Not to like turn this into a mushy, but it you know, Christina and I have known each other a really long time, and we've been friends like our almost entire life. It'll be 20 years this year actually that we've been friends. So anyways, her and I met in the 6th grade. We got kind of close in the 7th grade. And I would say 8th grade was when we really like clicked and did everything together. We lived really close to each other. And they just opened a new school where we were. We were commuting quite far because where we were in Las Vegas, it was very barren and it was just being built up. And so after our 7th grade, we transferred to another school, and I feel like that's when her and I got really close. And so her and I were in a group, I want to say of about 8. There was about 8 of us that we were really, really tight. And one of our friends' name was Steve, and it was right around the time that Big Daddy came out, and so we always called him Scuba Steve. Scuba Steve! If you remember that movie with Adam Sandler. And so he was like just our really good friend. Like it wasn't like a crush thing or anything like that. We just truly enjoyed him. He was just freaking funny. He was a funny guy. So we pretty much, it was a lot of it was me, him, and Christina. Like we were really good friends, and one of our friends, Chelsea, and him were dating. And so anyways, just to give a little backstory, he will appear in another story later on. So one night we went to the movies, which is a frequent thing that we did on the weekends. We were either at the mall or swimming at my house, or we would go to the movies a lot. And so we had another friend with us, and I think it was Katie, I want to say. And both Katie and Steve didn't get allowances. I didn't get an allowance either. I babysat a lot, and so that's how I made money. And so Katie and Steve didn't have money to go to the movies, and so come up with this grand plan, right? We're like, okay, Christina and I, you know, will pay for our tickets, and I think maybe we even pooled our money to get 2 people to go in. And so we like this is where we messed up. We walked around the building to see like where the doors were, like the emergency exit doors to the movie theater. And so Christina and I leave Katie and Steve there, and where all the doors are, and we're like, okay, we're gonna go buy our tickets, we'll go in, and we'll go, you know, let them in through the emergency exit. We've seen it done before, or maybe we had seen it in a movie or something, and we're like, it's totally gonna work. So I can't even remember what movie we went to see. I talked to Christina about this earlier, and I don't know how she doesn't even remember this story. I can't even, yeah, so I don't remember which movie it was, but we buy our tickets and we go in, and her and I are like contemplating, like, you know, now we're getting cold feet, because her and I aren't like, we're not crazy kids. Christina and I are not like in this kind of, you know, game. Like her and I weren't rebels. We didn't like steal stuff. We didn't do crazy things as kids, because we each have an older sibling. She has an older sister, and I have an older brother, and both of them did enough rebelling and all of the bad things that you're not supposed to do, enough for both me and Christina. We were like trying to be the good ones. We had a lot of pressure in that department to be the good kids, because our older siblings did a lot of really stupid stuff. That's a whole other story. But anyways, so her and I are getting cold feet, and we're like going back and forth. And at this time, you know, we don't have cell phones, so they're not texting us like, hurry up, what the heck are you doing, or anything like that. This is way back in the day. And so, you know, I started feeling guilty that they were standing out there. Like they couldn't stand out there for 2 hours. So we finally get the guts to go open the door. We, you know, I don't know if it's still like this. I can't even think about it. It's behind almost like the movie screen where the emergency exit doors. And so we go behind and open the door and we look to the left and there's no one there. And we look to the right and there is the manager of the movie theater holding both kids by the arm. And we were like, oh my gosh. So he pulls us out, you know, and was like, so what do you think it is exactly that you're doing? And we're like, oh, you know, nothing. He's like, I have cameras everywhere. I saw you idiots walk behind to see where the doors were, and then your two friends staying and you guys are going inside. Like, the math isn't hard to do, you know. And he was such a jerk. He like I just remember him being like kind of overweight and smelled horrible, like he had just been smoking. Like, I remember this so vividly because we were like stunned. We didn't know what to do. We had never been in trouble before. Like I said, like we didn't shoplift. We didn't, you know, smoke cigarettes this young. Like, we weren't bad kids at all. It was just like our friends, you know, grew up in a pretty poor household, Katie and Steve. And so it was kind of hard for all of us to do stuff sometimes. That's why I think a lot of the times it essentially ended up being me and KP, which is what I used to call her. Her name was Kim Possible back in the day. Not her actual name, but her initials were KP, and so I always used to call her Kim Possible, but her ringtone used to be like the Kim Possible theme song. Anywho, so we're stunned. We don't know what to do. I'm like sweating just thinking about them calling my parents to come pick me up and the discussion to follow thereafter. My parents weren't like, you know, spanking type, especially because I was already in the 8th grade. Like, it would be a conversation and it would be grounding for life. And so Christina and I are looking at each other and like I can tell that she's like trying to say something to me and I can't figure it out. And so he like goes to reach in his pocket for his cell phone and was like asking us for our parents' numbers, asking us our names. Nobody's talking. I was pretty proud of us for not saying anything, actually. So as he lets go of Katie and Steve, Christina lunges and like kicks him in the shin, and I was so proud. I was like, that is the coolest thing you have ever done. And when I was talking to her about this earlier, she's like, that's still the coolest thing I've ever done, even though she doesn't remember the story very well. And so as soon as she kicks him, Katie goes, run! And we ran from, I don't know if anybody will know this reference of where we were, was the Santa Fe Hotel and Casino in North Las Vegas. And across the street, I don't know what it looks like now because I haven't been in so long, was a gas station. We ran through around the movie theater, across the entire parking lot, and across the street to a gas station. And I can't even remember what we did. I think we sat there and waited for whoever's parent it was picking us up. I can't remember if it was her grandma or my mom. Christina and me always switched off carpools. Like, our parents were the only ones really involved in like picking everybody up and dropping everybody off. And so yeah, my best friend for one night was an absolute savage. I could not believe, like, if you knew Christina, she is the least confrontational, violent, like mean-spirited person you'll probably ever meet in your life. Like, nothing really offends her. I shouldn't say nothing offends her. Like, she has beliefs and standards and stuff like that, but like it takes a lot for her to ever get heated. And so the fact that she like kicked him in the shin, and I remember asking her like, what the heck were you thinking? And she's like, I don't know. I just saw the opportunity, and you know, I didn't want to give him my phone number. I didn't want to get in trouble. And so we just took off across the parking lot, and I remembered looking back and he couldn't keep up. It was like this, you know, middle-aged heavy man who was clearly a smoker. And so yeah, man, for one night, my best friend was a savage. So there's many other stories, including Christina and Steve. Some of them are like legit horror stories that I want to talk to you about. As a young kid, like, her and I experienced some things that I think parents need to be aware of. Like, I know for sure now, some things to be on the lookout for that Christina and I experienced. And so anyways, this one was just like a little fun one to jump back in the game. I am gonna sit here and record a couple more probably while it's fresh in my mind, and then we're gonna get into high school horrors. This is my #1 request, is horror stories, so they're coming back slowly but surely. I've been writing them down and remembering things, so I'm gonna try and put them in order as much as possible, but if I think of another one, I'll just sneak it in, if that's okay with you. So yeah, for one night, my best friend was a savage. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you are new, hello and welcome. My name is Cocco. You are watching the Cocco channel. Please subscribe if you're not already, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.